Canto 32. The earthly paradise continued. The procession to the tree. The pilgrims sleep. The griffin gone. Emblematic events. The eagles blow to the chariot, the dragon, the chariot covered with feathers, the 7 heads, the whore, and the giant. So fixed and attentive were my eyes to slake their 10-year thirst, that all my other senses were extinguished, and my eyes on this side and that had walls of non-concern. Her holy smile so drew them to itself with its ancient net. When those goddesses forcibly turned my face to the left, for I heard from them a too fixedly, and the disposition that affects eyes just now struck by the sun left me without sight for a time. But when my sight adapted itself again to the lesser object, and I say lesser with respect to the excess of the visible from which I had been forcibly removed, I saw the glorious army had turned on its right side and was going back with the sun and the 7 flames at its head. As a battle line turns about under its shields to save itself, and must wheel with its standards before it can all change direction, so those warriors of the heavenly kingdom who came in front of the others all passed by us before the chariot turned its pole. Then the ladies returned to its wheels, and the griffin drew the blessed burden, but in such a way that none of his feathers were shaken loose. The beautiful lady who had drawn me through the crossing, and Statius and I were following the wheel that made its orbit with a smaller arc. Thus, pacing through the lofty wood, empty by the fault of her who trusted the serpent, our steps were tempered by an angelic song. Perhaps an arrow loosed 3 times would cover the space through which we had moved when Beatrice descended. I heard all murmur, Adam. Then they encircled a tree stripped of leaves and all else in every branch. Its head, which spreads out more the more it goes up, would be admired by the Hindus in their woods for its height. Blessed are you, griffin, who tear not with your beak this tree so sweet to taste, since the belly is ill-twisted by it. Thus around the massive tree the others shouted, and the double animal, thus is conserved the seed of all righteousness. And, turning to the pole he had drawn, he drew it to the foot of the widowed stem, and, as belonging to the tree, left it tethered there. As our plants, when the great light comes down mixed with that which shines next after the heavenly carp, swell and then renew their color before the sun yokes his horses beneath another star, so, opening out color less than roses and more than violets, that plant renewed itself, whose branches earlier had been so bare. I did not understand, nor is it sung back here, the hymn those people sang then, nor did I endure all its melody. If I could portray how the cruel eyes fell asleep when they heard of Syrinx, those eyes whose wakefulness cost so dear, like a painter painting from a model, I would depict how I fell asleep. But he must be one who imitates sleepiness well. Therefore I pass on to when I awoke, and I say that a brightness rent the veil of sleep for me, and a call, "Arise, what are you doing?" As, when brought to see the budding flowers of that apple tree which makes the angels greedy for its fruit, holding perpetual wedding feasts in heaven, Peter and John and James were overcome by them, and awoke again to the voice that had broken deeper sleep than theirs, and saw that their school was deprived both of Moses and of Elijah, and that their master had changed his stole. So I awoke, and I saw the compassionate lady standing over me, who had guided my steps along the river earlier. And all in doubt I said, "Where is Beatrice?" And she, "Behold her under the new leaves, sitting upon their root. See the company that surrounds her. The others are going back up, following the griffin with a sweeter and a deeper song." And if her speech extended further, I do not know, for already my eyes were on the one who barred me from perceiving anything else. She was sitting solitary upon that true earth, as if left as a guard there for the wagon that I saw tethered by the beast of double form. In a circle the 7 nymphs enclosed her, with those lights in their hands which are safe against Aquilon and Auster. Here you will be but briefly a dweller in the wood, and with me, without end, you will be a citizen of that Rome, of which Christ is a Roman. Therefore, for the good of the world that lives ill, keep your eyes now on the chariot, and what you see, returning back there, be sure that you write. Thus Beatrice, and I, all devoted to the very foot of her commandments, turned my mind and eyes where she willed. Never has fire from a dense cloud descended with such swift motion, raining from the boundary that moves most remote from us, as I saw Jove's bird fall through the tree, tearing its bark, not to mention its blossoms and new leaves, and it struck the chariot with all its force, making it lurch like a ship in a tempest, overcome by the wave, now to be leeward, now to windward. Then I saw hurling itself into the cradle of the triumphal vehicle a vixen that seemed to lack all good nourishment. But, reproaching it for ugly sins, my lady turned it in such flight as its fleshless bones could achieve. Then I saw the eagle descend from where it had earlier come into the ark of the chariot, leaving it feathered like itself, and a voice, like one that comes from a grieving heart, came forth from heaven and said, "O my little ship, what an evil burden you have." Then it seemed to me that the earth opened between the two wheels, and I saw a dragon come forth and drive its tail up into the chariot. And, like a wasp withdrawing its sting, pulling toward itself its evil tail, it tore off some of the base and went off aimlessly. What remained, like fertile earth covering itself with grass, with the eagle's plumage, offered perhaps with healthy, benign intention, covered itself all over, and both wheels and the pole were covered with it, and the time a sigh holds the mouth open longest. Thus transformed, the holy structure put forth heads along its parts, 3 along the pole and 1 on each corner. The first were horned like oxen, but the 4 had each a single horn on its forehead. Such a monster has never yet been seen. Confident as a fortress on a high mountain, I saw an ungirt whore sitting upon it, with brow ready to look about. And, as if to prevent her being taken from him, I saw a giant standing beside her, and they kissed together from time to time. But because she turned her greedy, wandering eye toward me, that ferocious lover whipped her from head to soles. Then, full of suspicion and harsh anger, he untied the monster and drew it into the wood, so far that he made the wood alone a shield against me, for the whore and the strange beast.